We're wired to create. This isn't something that you have to try to do. You just have to get beyond the memory of your past and all the associations to create a new future. Now, theoretically, that sounds really easily, but everybody's done it at least once in their life. What happened? You get a wild idea. You get a crazy idea, and you think, what would it be like to be happy? What would it be like to be in love? What would it be like to be rich? Whatever it is. And you all of a sudden, you ask that question, and you turn on the creative center in your brain.
That's right.
It turns on.
Yes.
And then now the frontal lobe is the boss, it's the CEO, it's the symphony leader. And the frontal lobe, as an executive, has connections to all other parts of the brain. Now, when you ask that question, it's got to answer it. So it's got to look out over the landscape and see, what kind of raw materials do I have? Well, you only have a few things: knowledge you've learned and experiences you've had. So it begins to call up different networks of neurons, and it begins to seamlessly piece them together, and you get a vision in your mind. That's called intent. And if you're passionate, you start to feel the feelings of when it happens. Now, you're giving your body that energetic boost. Now, everybody's done this. The moment you've said that, no one can talk you out of it. No person, no thing, no experience. You're possessed by it. So then what happens next? You start writing down all the choices you need to make, all the things you got to do, all the goals and experiences you want in your future. And every time you write one of those goals or experiences down, you start to feel more of those emotions. And now you're basically assembling more of your future. Now, the astute person does something really amazing. They start learning more information. You want to be wealthy? Study wealthy people. You want to be healthy? Study healthy people. As you begin to gain more knowledge, you're adding more stitches into the three-dimensional tapestry, and you got more raw materials to dream in new ways. Now, here's the part that is the most important. Take out a piece of paper and say, what thoughts do I have to stop thinking? You know, I can't, I'll start tomorrow, I'm too hard, I don't feel like it, I have a headache, I gotta go to sleep, I'm tired. List those thoughts and become so conscious of those thoughts that you would never let one of those thoughts slip by your awareness unchecked by you.
Can I say something about that? I want to jump in on that. One of the powers of writing those thoughts down is you completely eliminate and weaken their influence over you. They become minimized when you write them. They lose their power over you when you grab control of them by writing them down. It's a significantly powerful exercise, is to write down those thoughts.
From a neuroscientific standpoint, what's called metacognition, because the moment you can observe the thought and become conscious of it, you're no longer the program. Your consciousness observing the program, and you begin to literally objectify your subjective self, and now you're pulling out. So then write down the choices you have to stop making. Look at the things you have to stop doing. Do you complain? Do you make excuses? Do you blame other people? What do you do? List those things and be really honest with yourself. What experiences do you have to stay away from certain people at certain times and places? Stay away from them so that you are not in the environment that triggers it. And now here's the most important point. Write down those emotions that keep you anchored to the past, because those emotions are literally residue from the past chemically. So then the moment you start feeling suffering, the moment you start feeling guilt, the moment you start feeling unworthy, the moment you start feeling despair, or the moment you start feeling any of those emotions, you're back in your past. And you can't see the future. You're thinking within those emotional states. And we've looked at enough brain scans to say that when you think within a certain emotion, you're going to make your brain worse. This research on memory says that 50% of what you talk about in the past isn't even the truth. That you don't have the same brain then. So you make stuff up, which means now you're reliving a past that you didn't even have, just to embellish it, to produce the emotions to reaffirm your limited state.